The white horse spear floats like a poem, invincible in youth. I like your dry pull and your one-handed catch. It's a pity that the man at 35 seconds and 13 minutes didn't break the spell of no one. Classic picture, sad sound. A man in his 20s named Soobei was lying on the hospital bed watching the video of Maddie. It made Soobei's eyes slightly moist, and he somewhat missed the era of the four major shooting guards. That is their youth. For basketball, they will give everything. At this time, Soobei was also a professional basketball player. Because of a game, he suffered a comminuted fracture of his right leg. The doctor told him the current situation, he will never be able to play in this lifetime, never again. At this moment, Soobei felt a heart-piercing pain in his heart, and he passed out from the pain. 2018-2019 season. Los Angeles, Staples Center. At this time, the Lakers and Clippers are playing against each other. Lou Williams is 45 degrees to the right of the three-point line. After receiving the ball, there was no hesitation. Jump up and cast. The basketball draws a beautiful arc in the air. Swish hollow into the net. 3 points from Lou Williams, now he has 30 points. Lewis Williams is going to have a triple-double soon, scoring like a bag. As expected of a veteran. The commentator looked at Lewis Williams, who was feeling hot on the field, with admiration on his face. Looking at the current situation again, he shook his head secretly, looking at the current state of the Lakers, they can't even make it to the playoffs. Kindness. Where am I? Soobei raised his head slightly, opened his eyes and looked at the shocking scene. Taking a deep breath, he tried to calm himself down. He actually came to the NBA. A large number of memories continued to merge in his mind, and soon he regained his senses. Now he passes through another player with the same name. The world here is parallel to the world in northern Jiangsu. The original owner is also a professional player, and through continuous efforts, he got a 10-day non-guaranteed contract from the Lakers. At the end of the third quarter, the score was 105-80. The head coach sighed, the gap of 25 points. It's harder to feel like going to heaven. The most important thing is that there was that kind of dead silence on their faces, each of them was depressed, as if they had lost their temper after being beaten. It's better to let high school students from the United States come, at least they still have fighting spirit. The head coach immediately denied the idea of victory in his heart, feeling hopeless from them, and muttered to himself, "Come again next year, this year's appointment is hopeless." Looking at the other players on the bench, there was a gloomy look in his eyes. Let the substitutes play in this last quarter, in fact, let them go through a cut scene. As the head coach's eyes moved to the position of the last water dispenser administrator, his eyes lit up slightly. Soobei, this undrafted pick made the head coach tremble slightly. During the training session of the Lakers, the head coach suddenly saw Kobe from that year. Not admitting defeat, the ultimate dedication to victory. It was simply beyond his imagination. So much like Kobe. It's just that after Soobei signed a 10-day contract, he hasn't played since the beginning. Tyson Chandler, Reggie Baroque, Mark Muscala, Alex Caruso, Soobei, come on. James stared at the score, with a look of loneliness and unwillingness in his eyes. He knew that if he wanted to win this game, he had no hope of even 1%. The other main players are all planning to pack their things, so there is no suspense. I'm all praying for it to end soon, anyway, I can't catch it back, so go back after the fight. The players who were not on the bench were all taken aback for a moment, all looking at Soobei with disbelief on their faces. Is this Dragon Kingdom kid coming? The 25 points have to be increased. By then, the Lakers will be ashamed and thrown to Grandma's house. The game is over, and the Lakers might lose face because of this kid breaking the record for the largest point difference in history. Some team members discussed in a low voice that there are very few players from Longwo in the NBA. Players like Jeremy Lin will still be treated differently no matter what kind of results they play. The physical fitness of the yellow race is there, an unavoidable fact. Except for Yao Ming, there seems to be no Dragon Country player that impressed them. Suo Bei took off his training uniform, revealing his 31 jersey, and ran over. The head coach patted him on the shoulder. The coach's voice sounded in Suo Bei's ear, "Young man, do your best. For these benches, there is no hope at all." The eyes of the players on the bench have long lost the desire for victory. But Suo Bei's eyes were still there, which made the head coach feel a little relieved and liked him. At this moment, Suo Bei had just entered the field. A mechanical and cold gaze sounded in his mind. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com ding. The host is on the field. Do you want to activate the basketball system? Activation. Activating. The basketball system is being activated. Do you want to receive the novice gift pack? Receive. Suo Bei is also a person who often reads novels, so he naturally knows that the system has bound him, so he can't help being a little excited. Ding, novice gift pack, a star template selected by the host immediately, to obtain the talent and signature skills of the star. Ding, is the host extracting? Suo Bei murmured silently in his heart, extract. There is a screen in my mind, quickly switching the players of the major players. The left side of each star shows their physical data and skills. Ding, the host extracted the McGrady template. McGrady's data appeared in Suo Bei's mind, and Suo Bei's face showed excitement. That's McGrady who is not injured, but there is really no one to block his attack. If McGrady's congenital scoliosis is injured, perhaps he may go further. Ding, the template of the star McGrady is binding the host. Ding, long-term mission, win a championship for the Lakers. Ding, side mission, reverse the current game. Ding, reward, 100 points. Ding, points can buy the skills of stars. After Suo Bei understood all this, his blood boiled. Seems to have endless fighting spirit and fighting spirit. This is a template for McGrady without injuries. This game, go all out. You must never give up in the end, and you are 25 points behind, and you have to win back even if you work hard. Suo Bei's belief is extremely firm. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. Ding, after the fusion is successful, the data of the host is as follows. Suddenly, groups of data appeared in Suo Bei's mind. Name, Suo Bei. Sex, male. Age, 21 years old. Height, 195 cm. Arm span, 215 cm. Weight, 90 kg. Bouncing, take off at 91 cm and run up to 108 cm. Bench press, 120 kg. Team, Lakers. Number 22. Position, shooting guard. Capability. Data. Speed, 90 power, 91 bounce, 88 CIC, 93 points, 88 ball control, 88 defense, 88 organization, 92 ball quotient, 93 skill, pull-up jump shot. Suo Bei glanced at it, and all the statistics had improved a lot. McGrady's talent is the top talent. The cold and mechanical voice sounded in Suo Bei's mind again. Ding, this is the data after combining the host's previous ability and McGrady's ability. Ding, the current host doesn't fully possess McGrady's ability, but only has 88% of the ability. After the host has gained a certain amount of points, he will fully grasp McGrady's ability. At the moment, the Clippers line up: Boban Marjanovic center, Lou Williams PG, Tobias Harris PF, Patrick Beverley SG, Gallinari small forward. Lakers lineup: Tyson Chandler central peak, Reggie Baroque small forward, Mark Muscala power forward, Alex Caruso point guard, Suo Bei shooting guard. At this moment, the entire arena was filled with lights. Those Lakers fans were surprised to see a player from Longwo play. How can there be players from Dragon Kingdom? Is he okay? Are there any outstanding players in Longwo besides Yao Ming? It seems that there is no suspense in this game. When some people saw Suabei standing on the field, they all looked suspicious. They all know that the players in Longwo are not good enough for talent and hard work, and they don't know what the head coach of the Lakers thinks. Is it because they want to be bad? Not only the fans, but even Suabei, who was on the opposite side of the Clippers bench, had a smile on the corner of his mouth. The Lakers have been getting worse and worse over the years. Even if there is James among the Lakers, the mud cannot support the wall. The Clippers players also looked at the 2-5 point gap on the field, and they flashed confident eyes. It is difficult for the Lakers to overtake the Clippers in the last quarter. Suabei was unmoved in the face of everyone's doubts and ridicule. Just be yourself, and talk with the ball on the court. This is always the case on the court, and any trash talk and doubts must be proved by the results. Suabei clenched his fists and secretly made up his mind. You people are all optimistic. One day, the players of Longwo will stand at the top level in the world. What Suabei didn't know was how difficult the road ahead was. 25 points behind, it's hard to say if the Lakers want to catch up. Caruso glanced at Suabei and encouraged him, "Young man, fight hard, I believe in you." Off the court, James saw from Suabei's eyes that he would not give up. That desire for victory reminded him of the 2016 finals. The game is not over, they must not give up. The winner has not yet been decided, and no one knows whether to win or lose. That's the beauty of basketball. Suabei nodded, full of fighting spirit, and he had to go all out on the court. This is a boy's love and respect for basketball. Legs slightly bent in a defensive stance. On the court, the Clippers attacked. Lou Williams got the ball to the top of the arc and passed the ball to Beverly. Beverly held the basketball in his right hand, and the defender in front of him was Suabei. Seeing this Dragon Country player, Beverly showed a disdainful smile. How dare a Dragon Kingdom come to guard against me? MMP, are you looking down on me? Without concealment, he mocked Suabei, Longwo's trash, with your small body, you still want to guard me. It is estimated that any woman who comes here can easily pass you. The grandma who picks up trash is physically stronger than you. Beverly's two great skills, one is to keep talking trash to the opponent, and the other is to defend like a mad dog, so many players also gave Beverly the title of Mad Dog. Suabei dismissed Beverly's trash talk. That's it. Beverly's trash talk is really bad, it seems that there is a chance to teach him. Suabei looked into Beverly's eyes, and Beverly's body trembled, feeling that Suabei had a fierce look in his eyes. As if he was a wolf, there was no sense of decadence in his eyes. Beverly made a three-threat attack and broke through directly to the right. Suabei was shaken for a while, but still followed closely to defend. Suabei thought that Beverly was still going to the right, so he took a step back. But Beverly suddenly saw a certain distance between the two. Quick stop, jump shot. Suabei thought something was wrong in his heart, and rushed forward. Beverly made a direct mid-range shot. The basketball crossed a parabola in the air. Swish! 2 points. The score became 107-80. The Lakers trailed by 27 points. Beverly shook his head at Suabei, "You are not as good at defense as my grandma, you can't defend me. Hurry up and go home, little brat." The Dragons' domestic live broadcast room is also broadcasting NBA games at the moment. After seeing Suabei's defense, the black fans started to spray. "I still have to fight at this level, come back quickly, don't be ashamed and conspicuous. It's really rubbish. I beat him better than me." After the Lakers fans saw it, they couldn't arouse any interest. The Lakers are hopeless. This scene is simply a bloodbath. It seems that the Clippers beat the Lakers to the ground, even if God comes, they can't save the Lakers. Maybe it will really come down to earth? But Caruso next to him didn't say anything. Suabei had already defended very well just now, but it was a pity that he still failed to defend successfully. Caruso patted Soabe's shoulder with his big hand, and smiled slightly. "Brother, it's okay, we'll call back." Soabe didn't become unconfident because of this time. At this time, the Lakers attacked. Caruso came to the midfield with the ball. Soabe stood on the right three-point line and asked for the ball from Kalu. Whoosh! The ball was passed to Soabe, who held the basketball firmly with both hands and stared at the hoop. The Lakers fans who were not interested just now still looked at the stadium, wanting to see if a miracle could happen. But when they saw Soabe holding the ball, they all had surprised expressions on their faces. Does he still want to play singles? Isn't this looking for abuse? Beverly defended Soabe, constantly spouting trash talk. "You can't, you don't have a basket. Granny picking up garbage is better than you." It seems that he wants to make Soabe collapse mentally. But who knows, the next second, Beverly was stunned. Soabe released the ball in an instant, touched the ground with his right foot, stepped out with his left leg, and turned his center of gravity to the left. "If you want to break through from the left, I will prevent you to death. Let you lose a point." Beverly watched the kid's movements, moved back slightly, and a smirk appeared on the corner of his mouth. But the next second, Beverly was shocked. "Fuck!" Soabe suddenly jumped with the ball and pulled it out. No bells and whistles. Simple and rude. Beverly also jumped up, reaching out his hand to cap Soabe. Because Soabe jumped too high. In the end it failed. Soabe flicked his wrist. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. The basketball crossed a beautiful arc and hit the basket. Swish! That crisp voice sounded. 3 points scored. The whole process is smooth and done in one go. The lights of the arena converged on Soabe's body, and that kind of aura of being the best of me suddenly radiated. A nice counterattack. On the pitch, the best way to counter is to score over his head. There is nothing more deterrent than this approach. This is Soabe's basketball path. Whether it is strong or not will be judged on the court. Soabe looked at the angry Beverly and smiled. After Beverly noticed it, he seemed to feel that Soabe said you couldn't do it. This three-pointer is Soabe's first three-pointer in the Lakers' career, and it is also the beginning of his career in the Lakers. In the commentary seat. Beautiful, Soabe took advantage of his height and shot a jump shot directly. The height made Beverly helpless, and he couldn't prevent it at all. "Do you feel that you can see McGrady from Soabe?" "Hearing what you said, there is a bit of McGrady's shadow. Then we'll see if this game can be reversed." Seeing the confidence in Soabe's eyes, Yang Yi remembered the boy in white. 35 seconds and 13 minutes are still fresh in my memory. The boy in white had created a miracle, but Yang Yi looked at Soabe on the field and shook his head. The difference is really too big. The fans in the entire stadium saw this scene with a hint of surprise in their eyes. The scene just now seems to have the figure of McGrady. Soabe looked at the score, 107:83, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. "Don't worry, this is just the beginning. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time." Beverly was so angry that this boy from Longwo actually scored on his own head. "You will definitely not have such a good sense of the ball next time." He felt that the kid from Longwo was just lucky, and he couldn't keep scoring goals. And the game was still in the 20s, and the balance of victory had already tilted to their side. No matter how the Lakers counterattack in that state, it is impossible to win. What's more, the Lakers are still on the bench. However, the Longwo player scored a three-pointer in front of him. Thinking of this, Beverly is still determined to fight back, vowing to blow up that boy from Longwo, and even wants to score on him, but there is no door. On the other side, the Lakers players also saw this scene, and they were all surprised. He made a three-pointer as soon as he came on the court, and his jumping ability is so strong. Those players who disdained Soabe were all a little embarrassed. They looked down on that kid in the first place, but they didn't expect such a result. Sobe's jump shot just now was shot at the highest point after jumping up. At that height, Beverly has no chance to catch him. James raised his head slightly and stared at the handsome guy on the court. Sobe. Although it looks a little immature, but that pair of eyes just now. It seemed to make him fall into memory again. Yes, that's the look. It's very similar to Kobe's refusal to admit defeat back then. And Sobe's movement, so ecstasy. It has the shadow of McGrady's jump shot. James stopped bowing his head, and began to focus on the field, observing the changes on the field. The head coach of the Lakers was also taken aback. He had never seen Sobe attack in this way. During Sobe's training, he only showed his strengths in mid-range shooting and breakthrough, as well as his persistent spirit, and everything else was average. If Sobe develops the three-pointer, maybe the Lakers can have a better plan. There was a strange gleam in the head coach's eyes, maybe it was really possible. All of this still depends on Sobe's performance on the field this time. The Clippers attacked again. Lou Williams holds the ball, and Caruso comes up to defend him. Caruso is also a player who relied on his own efforts to come to the place of his dreams NBA, no matter how much the difference is, in Caruso's eyes, as long as he is on the court, he must play well. Although there is no hope, Caruso does not want to give up. Pass it to me. Williams, pass me the ball, quick. Seeing that Williams was affected, Beverly ran over and shouted at him, for fear that Williams would be cut off by Caruso. In this attack, their Clippers can no longer make mistakes. Beverly also wanted to play against Sobe, and let him know that it was just luck just now, and good luck cannot always be with Sobe. On the court, the decisive factor is strength. In the face of real strength, nothing is useless. Little did he know that there was Sobe behind him, but Beverly had been paying attention to Williams' side, and Williams passed the ball after hearing it. The ball passed to Beverly, and Sobe followed closely. The speed is fast as a flash of lightning. And when Williams next to him saw Sobe, he just wanted to call Beverly. The words have not yet come out. Beverly turned to the right, while Sobe came from the left. Only here. There was a snap. Sobe broke off directly from Beverly's hand. Whoosh! A yellow flash. Beverly was dumbfounded. Where did this kid come from? How can this be? Beverly also quickly caught up, trying to block him. But when he saw Sobe's figure, he couldn't help but swear, what kind of speed is this? Simply not human. Boom! Sobe dribbled the ball directly across half-court and grabbed the ball with one hand. Take the first step at the free throw line, then the second step in the paint. Kicking off the ground, Sobe swung a battle axe in the air, with great force. There was a gust of wind in the air. Squeak! The basket was shaking and seemed to be whining. It seemed that he couldn't bear Sobe's domineering power. Sobe made a celebratory gesture, showing his domineering side. This is pure aesthetics of violence. The audience was silent, as if the air had frozen. The next second came the cheers of landslides and tsunami, and everyone's eyes were once again focused on Sobe. Beautiful, Sobe, well played. Caruso looked at Sobe, and gave him a high five. We'll hit him like this. The Lakers players on the field no longer became depressed. They also knew that they had just gone through the motions, but when they saw Sobe and Caruso, they all aroused their inner blood. What's wrong with the substitute? Substitutes should also play well, only basketball can live up to it. Just do it. The commentator Yang Yi explained the scene just now. Sobe just played very efficiently. Except for Yao Ming, I have never seen a player from Longwo perform like this. Sobe's dunk gave the Lakers momentum. The steal was too fast just now, and the speed of the fast break is comparable to that of the flash. It's so fast, I always feel faster than the flash. And at this time, the Lakers players were stunned and shocked. unable to believe what they saw. Is this true? The speed was too fast. In just a blink of an eye, Sobe broke through and dunked. Sobe scored 5 points in less than 2 minutes, which is unbelievable. Some Lakers fans on the field were dumbfounded and stared dumbfounded. Some fans saw the scene in Sub-A, and the popcorn in their hands didn't know when to drop it, and their eyes were full of surprise. In this scene, they seemed to have seen the only king in Los Angeles, Kobe Bryant. Sub-A has a good-looking face, good temperament, and a well-proportioned body. It's hard not to let girls like it. So handsome. Longwo players seem to be a bit handsome. Some female fans trembled and covered their small mouths with their hands, their beautiful eyes widened and their eyes were full of glances. Women, always care about whether they are handsome or not, and whether they have a good figure, and other things can be ignored. The Clippers attacked again and failed to score. The Lakers attacked. Caruso flicked his hand, and then passed the basketball to Sobe. Because at this time, Sobe's touch is hot. If someone in the court team feels hot, let him keep attacking. Therefore, the players on the Lakers will let Sobe attack. Sobe directly asked Reggie Baroque, the big center, to let him pick and roll on the right. Reggie Baroque nodded and gave Sobe a pick and roll, and Sobe went around. At 45 degrees to the right, Sobe stood on the three-point line and made another jump shot. At the moment of the shot, Sobe felt in his heart that the ball must be scored. The ball landed firmly in the basket. Another 3. The score came to 107-88. The gap narrowed to 19 points. The Clippers coach was anxious and shouted, "Cheer up and play hard, you reading www.uugonshu.com didn't you eat? Hit me harder. Tougher." At this time, Beverly's face was ugly. This kid was too flexible. Looking at Sobe's tall and thin body, if Sobe confronts me, he probably won't be able to carry it, so Beverly decided to use a breakthrough to score. Although that kid is very fast, he is not as good as me in strength confrontation. Beverly showed a smirk at the corner of his mouth, letting him experience what real strength is. Beverly was in front of Sobe, behind the ball. This time, Beverly held the basketball hard, so that Sobe would not have the chance to steal the ball from him. At the same time, he still yelled at Sobe, "Boy, are you ready to be abused?" Sobe stared at him firmly, without any fear in his eyes. "It seems that you are coming again." Beverly saw Sobe's expression, and to confront him, he had to find his way back. Directly changed direction and rushed in. This time, Sobe also followed closely, knowing that Beverly was irritated by him. If a player is irritated on the court, his brain will become a little dull, or inflexible. Sobe took advantage of this and always found a breakthrough point from Beverly. Even if he is the best defensive player, Sobe is not afraid. If you want to fight, fight the elite. The same goes for defense. When Beverly rushed in and saw that Sobe was still in front of him, he smiled inwardly, "Boy, you're done, get ready to accept my confrontation." Beverly fought against Sobe and wanted to get in. But at the moment when the two of them made physical contact, Beverly's face changed. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. Boom! Beverly felt as if he had bumped into an iron wall, and it hurt him so much. Sobe just stood there motionless and smiled slightly. In the words of Longuo, persimmons are picked when they are soft. But does Beverly think Sobe is a soft persimmon? He lifts a rock and shoots himself in the foot. Beverly gritted his teeth, turned around again, leaned back slightly, and forcibly shot. The ball falls in the air. At this moment, Sobe jumped straight up and slapped hard like a volleyball smash. Snapped. A big hat goes by. Beverly was dumbfounded again. This jump is too high. This kid looks very thin and weak, he really can't be judged by his appearance, he is a completely different person when he plays ball. That kind of concentration was brought to the extreme. This boy from Longwo completely suppressed Sobe on both offensive and defensive ends. The basketball landed at the free throw line and was grabbed by Caruso. Caruso, who got the ball, burst out with amazing speed and made a dunk. Lakers fans cheered. This cap is too bloody. Since Kobe, the Lakers have rarely seen such a player. This young lad reminds me of Kobe. Kobe's influence throughout Los Angeles is unimaginable. Caruso smiled and gave Sobe a high five. The victory between men is as simple as that. Sometimes one action can tell what the other party wants to do. Caruso, you will continue to look for opportunities for a while, and I will break through. If there's room, I'll give it to you. Sobe said to Caruso, and at the same time Caruso also nodded at Sobe. In Caruso's heart, Sobe's status has risen a lot. After all, the performance just now gave Caruso hope. Maybe they can really win. The Lakers coach next to him was slightly taken aback, thinking in his heart that he did not misjudge this kid. It seems that his vision is still good. After the game is over, maybe it's time to have a good talk with Sobe. Next, the Clippers attacked and scored 2 points with their center Boban Marjanovic, and their strength should not be underestimated. After all, his height is one of the best in the NBA league, especially those big hands, which are scary big, and the most important thing is that they are soft. This talent. Tut. Sobe was also envious. Although there was a blog on the opposite side, Sobe still had the confidence to kill them. The Lakers attack and Sobe holds the ball. When Boban, who was over 2 meters tall, saw this kid, his eyes were full of confidence. If this little guy dared to stand out, let him taste the shocking hat. Consecutive scoring made the momentum of the Lakers gradually rise, and the coach on the sidelines almost fell to the tactical board. Beverly sprayed at Sobe again. "Boy, you can't get past me." Sobe looked at the basket slightly, and suddenly there was a 3 threat, and the first step quickly passed Beverly. Beverly became annoyed. Just now, his nerves were tense to the extreme, and he was threatened by Sobe. "It's okay, I'm inside." Boban shouted, in the 3-second zone, he is a giant. Sobe didn't care who was in front of him, holding the basketball tightly with both hands, like a person charging with a pack of explosives, fearless. When the Lakers fans saw this moment, they seemed to feel that this kid was crazy. A defender who is 1.98 meters, going against a giant who is 2.22 meters, isn't this looking for abuse? The Lakers players also lamented, "This kid is looking for death, how can he play like this?" In their eyes, Sobe seemed like a reckless man. Even the head coach of the Lakers shook his head. Sobe's attack this time was a bit unwise, and even CIC's breakthrough was better than this. In the head coach's heart, he labeled Sobe as a reckless, irrational player. But the head coach looked up and saw Sobe and Boban colliding in the air. Everyone held their breath at this moment and fixed their eyes on Sobe. Boban's big hand simply blocked all the shooting space. At the moment when Sobe's brother Boban resisted, he used his waist and abdomen strength to lean back his body. When Boban fell, Sobe's eyes lit up and he threw the ball. Taking advantage of the time difference, the ball slipped through the air. Swish! The basketball hit the net and scored 2 points. When Sobe returned to halftime, he pointed to the sky with one hand and hammered his chest with his right hand, just like a descending from the earth. It's really unbelievable. After Sobe broke through, he collided with Boban and fell back and hit. The Lakers still had a bit of improvement in the fourth quarter, but now the score is reduced to 17 points. The commentator Yang Yi looked at the score of 109:92 on the court and said, "There are still 7 minutes left, and the difference is still too big. The chances of the Lakers coming back are slim." Soon, in the next 5 minutes, Sobe scored 10 points again through flexible running, 3-point shots, and breakthroughs. It's like a sharp knife, piercing straight into the heart of the Clippers, leaving them no hope. During this period, the Clippers had no points except for Beverly's 2 points. The gap narrowed to 7 points. Sub-A's performance shocked all the fans present. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is too crazy. With 3 minutes left in the game, it seems that the Lakers have hope of a comeback. Everything is possible in the NBA, and no one knows what the result will be until the end of the game. There were bean-sized beads of sweat on Sub-A's forehead. The NBA was very confrontational, and the series of attacks just now consumed his energy. However, in Sub-A's eyes, there was no slack in the eyes, but even more excitement. As for the game where Sub-A watched the boss, Kobe Bryant, since he was a child, the Mamba spirit has already deeply influenced Sub-A. And this time, Sub-A wanted to show him to the fullest. However, Sub-A on the field encouraged them, "Brothers, there are only a few minutes left now. Regardless of whether we can win or not, we must play our Lakers momentum. No matter what the result is, Sub-A must take every game seriously. On the court, attack depends on one's personal ability, while defense depends on one's attitude towards the game. Attitude is also very important." Caruso and the others also nodded slightly, and the blood in their hearts was completely stimulated by Sub-A. All of them looked fearless, showing the momentum of the Lakers. The Lakers! The Lakers! In the auditorium, the Lakers fans shouted wildly, a glimmer of hope flashed in their eyes, and it was just a tiny glimmer of hope. Immediately, the players off the Lakers field were also moved by the atmosphere. James stood up, walked to the head coach, and said excitedly, "Coach, let me play, I can do it. Please let me play." James seems to be impatient to play with Sub-A. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. The Lakers coach looked at James in front of him, and then looked at the score on the court. Now they are only 7 points behind, and there are 3 minutes left. The Lakers still have a chance. Immediately afterwards, the Lakers coach called a timeout. The players from North Jiangsu stood next to the head coach. Caruso and the others had a smile on their faces. In the fourth quarter, they finally showed their momentum. The Lakers have been suppressed by the Clippers in the first 3 quarters, making the atmosphere on the Lakers' side more depressing. Everyone also looked at Sub-A, each showing a trace of awe. In the entire fourth quarter, Sub-A scored more than 10 points by himself in a few minutes. How crazy he played, he was like a savior. James next to him patted Sub-A on the shoulder, "Good job, Sub-A. Right now we're 7 points away, 7 points in those 3 minutes. Can it be done?" "Able." Everyone said in unison, showing firm eyes. On the other side of the Lakers, the Clippers. The Clippers coach glared at them and yelled, "What are you playing? It's not as good as those elementary school students, where is your fighting spirit? Beverly, do you know that you can no longer control your own temper, and you have completely fallen into the trap of that Dragon Country player?" When the head coach said, he looked at Sub-A from time to time. Similarly, Beverly's face flushed with anger, and he didn't expect to be manipulated by Sub-A all the time. "At first, I thought that Sub-A was just an ordinary player, and his strength would definitely not be very good." Beverly also wanted him to experience what a real NBA is. However, Sub-A made him feel what a Longwo player is. Apart from Yao Ming, Beverly had never seen such a powerful player. Sub-A. This Dragon Country player gave the Clippers head coach a great shock. "I have never seen a Dragon Country player so crazy, and his efficiency is unmatched." And Sub-A played Beverly on the court, because Beverly's defense is the best among the Clippers, and Beverly's defense is also one of the best in the entire NBA. "But I didn't expect a Longwo player to be beaten like this, it's really a shame." Leading by 25 points in the first 3 quarters, they now lead by 7 points. The head coach's face is serious. If he doesn't stabilize the current situation, it is very likely that the Lakers will take the lead. Today's Lakers, every team will beat them. If you lead by 25 points, you don't win. The Clippers coach will believe that tomorrow's news will definitely have them. The news will break out, it's a shame, a 2-5 point lead, and the Lakers still won. The worst game of the 2018-2019 season. There are all kinds of negative news in the head coach's mind, which will put great pressure on him, not only on him, but also on the Clippers. The preseason is almost halfway through, and in the end, any team will have a strong fighting spirit and will go all out for the game, because this will affect whether they can enter the playoffs. Every team is working hard for a spot. Playoffs, semifinals, finals. The goal of all the teams is to win the championship, but how can it be so easy? It will take absolute effort to hope to win. Beverly, you have to control your emotions. When you come to the court, you have to defend that Longwo player for me. You must not let him score. Now he feels too hot. The head coach looked helpless. That kid's three-pointer and breakthrough were really fast. The three-pointer is not only quick, but also hits steadily. You said, you are not angry. The Clippers coach can't wait to smash the tactical board in his hand. The appearance of Suabay also gave them hope, and the whole momentum of the Lakers became different. All the players showed excitement on their faces, very excited. The Lakers coach looked at them, Mark Muscala, you rest, James, you go. Okay. James nodded, full of fighting spirit. Get rid of them. Get rid of them and win this game. Win this game. Everyone said softly, this time they will also let go of the fight. Pause ends. James and Suabay were standing on the field at the same time, and Suabay felt an unprecedented excitement in his heart, that kind of blood seemed to be fighting. Suabay's fighting spirit was also fully aroused. The atmosphere at the scene also ushered in the highest atmosphere, bursts of shouts. The Lakers must win. The Lakers must win. After Suabay and the others felt the enthusiasm of the scene, they all became like a rainbow. This is Staples, home of the Lakers. Here, they cannot lose. In the last 3 minutes, they will try their best. From outside the three-point line on the left, Suabay once again held the ball in singles, pulling all his teammates away. 1-to-1 absolute. That was the easiest way for North Jiangsu to score. A veer to the right, with a low center of gravity, is primarily intended to confuse Beverly. Beverly moved to the right, and Suabay's eyes lit up slightly. Connect with a turn and break through to Beverly's right. The Clippers center Boban came up to defend and said softly, I still want to come, this time I won't be the same as last time. With his hands raised high, relying on his height, he completely covered Suabay's shooting space, and even breaking through was a thing. Suabay glanced and saw James cutting in from the right. Opportunity, opportunity is here. Suabay no longer moved forward to confront Boban, after all, the height gap was too great. Turn around and run to the three-point line. With Suabay's move, Boban smiled slightly, still wanting to marry me? There are no doors. But in the next second, Suabay flicked his hand back and passed it to James. After James received the ball, he took 3 steps and jumped up. At this time, the fans present stood up. The height of James' jump, his head is at the same level as the basket, and his body is like a bow and arrow. It was only when Boban came to his senses that he retreated. James made a dunk. The fans were shocked one by one. James dunked directly through the big center who was more than 2 meters away. At this time, the atmosphere of the scene reached its peak. Boban clutched his painful chest as if he had been knocked down by a tank. James is too fierce. James. 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 The tomahawk-style dunks reminded the fans of the violent abuse of the basket by the Little Emperor when he first entered the league. After James landed, he roared angrily. That sound excited everyone present. But the head coach of the Lakers knew that although it was James' stunning dunk reappearance, such a scene would not have happened without Suabay's attention and unexpected pass. After James scored 2 points, everyone seemed to have had chicken blood. The Clippers attacked, and Sub-A and the others defended them tightly. Under strong pressure, Sub-A just forced them to make mistakes. Every time there is a mistake, they will have a chance. Williams was guarded by Caruso, passed the ball to forward Tobias Harris, was hit by James, but missed. James took the rebound and suddenly accelerated, which caught the entire Clippers off guard. Beverly chased after him hard, but he was still behind James. James' explosive power is beyond their imagination. Beverly thought in his mind, why is this old man in his 30s still as young as he is? Even if Beverly fouled in the end, it was still useless. Board. Another dunk, James scored 2 points. Immediately afterwards, James hit one of 2 shots. Scored a point. After the Clippers, Williams received the ball, he made a 3-pointer and missed. The Lakers fans in the arena erupted, watching James do a domineering step to celebrate, and one fan said in disbelief, "It's great." The score came to 112-110, with only 20 seconds left, forcing the Clippers to call a timeout. Next, for the last 20 seconds, you have to watch James. Absolutely don't let him come to the inside. If James breaks into the inside, then Harris will guard him for me, and Harris remember to make up the defense. If we defend, we will win the game. UU reading www.uugonju.com. The Clippers head coach arranged tactics for Boban and Harris. As soon as James came on the court, all the attention was on him. On the other hand, the same is true for the Lakers coach. The atmosphere was so tense, no one knew that this was also the last attack of the Lakers. If successful, the Lakers will reverse the score and win the game. We have 20 seconds left, and James will execute the last ball. The Lakers coach looked at James, his eyes full of expectation. No matter how many points Sub-A scored in the fourth quarter, the last ball needed to be handled by a top superstar. James' strength has been recognized by everyone, but James said something that shocked everyone. "I think this ball needs Sub-A to execute it." He felt hot in the fourth quarter. If he shoots a 3-pointer now, the chance of hitting it will be very high. The head coach listened to James' analysis. After all, he is a superstar. "Okay then, the last ball will be executed by Sub-A." After the timeout was over, Sub-A went on the court and said to James, "You hold the ball to break through and attract defenders. I'll catch the ball in the corner and pass it to me when the time comes." "Good." The two clapped hands again. James holds the ball on the right and 1 steps past Williams. Then Harris defended the pass, and Boban followed closely. As soon as James broke through, he made a layup. Basically hits. They were very afraid and determined not to let James score in front of them. Like a shadow, Sub-A circled towards the bottom corner. At this time, James also saw Sub-A. The two looked at each other. "Here it comes, brother." The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. The attention of the Clippers players on the court was all on James. There is no doubt that they would know that every last attack of the Lakers was almost solved by James. Even the head coach of the Clippers told the players to focus on James. In the last season, James was almost alone against the entire team. James made a layup, Boban also jumped up, and was about to block James. "No matter what, we must guard against James." But James' hand holding the ball suddenly retracted and passed it to the left corner. Everyone's eyes widened as they watched the basketball pass to Sub-A. "Fuck! How did the ball get to this kid?" Puzzled. Their eyes were focused on this young Longwo player. Sub-A was already ready to shoot from the corner. As soon as the ball arrived, Sub-A jumped up slightly. Without hesitation, the basketball drew a beautiful arc in the air. This arc is so high that all the Lakers fans stand up and look at the basketball in the air. At the same time, they are even more incredible. Sub-A had already turned around. The moment he shot, he had a feeling in his heart. This three-pointer must be scored. Especially at critical moments, the biggest fear is lack of self-confidence. On the contrary, the more this happened, the more confident Soobei would be. This is a player with a big heart. This young man is too arrogant. Who dares to do this, just turn around after throwing it away? Some fans were dissatisfied. They shot a three-pointer and turned around confidently. That is to say, Curry dared to do this, and he succeeded. But Soobei is different, he is just a new player, so he dares to be so crazy. Swish! 3 points into the net. I buy it, let's go in. 3 points will be scored. It's really incredible. As the three-pointer went in, the Lakers players present became excited. The players on the bench also ran to Soobei and celebrated with him. Soobei! Soobei! The players shouted, it was so excited. The Lakers overtook by 25 points in the last quarter. With the current strength of the Lakers, it is wishful thinking to overtake other players this season. The strength is appalling. On the other side, when the Clippers' Beverly walked back, his eyes were fixed on the young player. Soobei taught him a lesson in this game. When he was on the court, Beverly always looked down on this Dragon Country player, and now Beverly can't believe that the Lakers actually relied on the Dragon Country player to reverse the game this time. At that time, the head coach of the Clippers told him not to get emotional on the court, otherwise he would lose his calm thinking and affect the direction of the game. The Clippers players all lowered their heads and remained silent. Listening to the victorious appearance of the Lakers, there was a trace of unwillingness in their eyes. The game that could have been a sure win turned out to be this result. They can't take it. As a basketball player, my biggest regret is not winning the game I should have won. Perhaps when the Lakers gained momentum, the ending was already doomed. Today's game can be said to be the highlight of this new season. Soobei appeared in the Lakers arena for the first time and turned the situation around with his own strength. Especially the three-pointer on the court is really good, and the offense and defense are excellent. I'm looking forward to Soobei's performance in the next game, and I don't know if Soobei will be in the starting lineup after this game. At the commentary table, Yang Yi analyzed the situation one by one. It was obvious that he was very satisfied with the realization of Soobei. Soobei's lure three-pointer, coupled with the confidence of turning around after the shot, this scene is deeply remembered by the Lakers fans. Soobei made 4 three-pointers and hit them all. Among them is also the influence of the fiery touch, the most important is his system. If it weren't for today, who would believe that a player from the Dragon Kingdom would turn the game around? It was very similar to Jeremy Lin's storm. Everyone returned to the locker room, and James looked at Soobei, staring at him. Soobei, you played very well this time. Yes, Soobei, your last 3 points are really cool. Caruso also smiled and echoed, too confident, this three-pointer will definitely be the best goal. Everyone nodded. If they handled the three-pointer, they might not be able to handle it better than Soobei. The last shot needs to be handled by someone with a fiery touch and absolute confidence. Just like the retired Kobe, he never relents at critical moments. At this time, the head coach of the Lakers also came over and patted Soobei on the shoulder. Soobei, thanks to you for this game, you did a great job. This time, I really didn't see the wrong person. However, the Lakers coach Warden also saw the right person for the first time. If it weren't for the arrival of Soobei, he would definitely lose tonight. I also didn't expect this kind of result. The only thing I was on the court at the time was to play, and nothing could interfere with my play. Soobei narrated, the desire for basketball appeared in his eyes. On the court, as long as he got the basketball, Soobei's whole body boiled up, and he returned to full blood in an instant, making him full of motivation. And Soobei is just a small habit, extremely focused on the court. No one can affect his scoring. The head coach Warden nodded, showing his appreciation for Soobei in his eyes. The desire in the eyes is the persistence and love of every player who loves basketball. They love basketball and basketball. In their lives, basketball has long been a part of their lives. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com for basketball, they can do anything. I really like it. Kobe's love for basketball infected a group of people. This is also the look Warden wants to see. He feels that in the next game, Soabe can try to start or play in the third quarter. Against the Lone Ranger, their defense was too ruthless. Here, if Soabe's three-pointer or breakthrough opens up the situation, then the Lakers may win them in the next game. However, in this competition, Soabe might just feel hot. What if there is no touch? Will he have another way to score? This, Warden also has some doubts in his heart. After all, in the NBA, Yao Ming is the most famous player in the Dragon Kingdom, and few other players can play well. Therefore, in Warden, I still hope that Soabe will give it a try. After all, this is also the hope of Soabe. Apart from James, there are not many people in the Lakers who can become scoring points. Okay, everyone be quiet. Our next game is against the Lone Ranger. Walton said to everyone, I hope the next game can maintain such a good state, and win the Lone Ranger in one fell swoop. Do you have confidence? Have. Everyone shouted. Soabe wanted to fight the Lone Ranger, but there was Dunkirk in the Lone Ranger. The third place in the first round of this year was selected by the Eagles, and was later traded to the Lone Ranger by the Eagles. Since then, this kid has been singing all the way. It's worth mentioning that Soabe was in the same class as them. I don't know if Dunkirk is ready for my arrival? A smile appeared on the corner of Soabe's mouth. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing a mission and rewarding you with 100 points. Soabe found in his mind that there was a small box under his attribute panel, showing the points. As the system sounded, Soabe also found that the points had increased by 100. Whoa! There are 100 points, which is not a lot. Soabe thought happily, perhaps it can be exchanged for the skills of a star player. System, can you open the page of the mall? Yes, 50 points can unlock the mall's page. The voice was not too loud, and when Soabe heard it, his entire face turned black. Is this the system? It's a trick, and finally got 100 points. It actually takes 50 points to unlock the page of the shopping mall. Soabe has the urge to hack the system, which is worse than robbing a bank. I didn't expect to put up this system. Ding! Please control the host's emotions, otherwise you will have to add points. At this moment, Soabe suddenly thought of a scene, the Big Brother on Zyuchandeo 2 at that time. One sentence, you have to pay more, became popular all over the internet. The cold voice sounded in Soabe's mind again. Ding! Does the host need to be unlocked? Open! But Soabe doesn't have that many points. Originally there were 100 points, but 50 points are going to disappear like this. The system is really blackheart. Ding! Unlocking! Unlocked! After Soabe unlocked them all, he was stunned when he saw the skills of those superstars. System, are you kidding me? This is what points can be exchanged for. The store displays, Kobe Bryant's skill, fadeaway jumper 30,000 points. Iverson's skills, great change to extraordinary 30,000 points. All of this, Soabe's dream of buying star skills with points just now is gone, shattered. It can be said that a rural kid wants to buy a house in the capital of the Dragon Kingdom. It was just a daydream. Alas, there is no hope. After Soabe closed them all, he glanced at the points, and suddenly it became more than 60 points. This is how the same thing? System, why do I have a little more points? Ding! This is in exchange for the host's points on the field. To put it simply, the points the host gets on the field can be turned into points. Ding! if the host scores more than 30 points in a game, the points gained on the field will be doubled. Ding! If it's 50 points, it's 3 times, if it's 80 points, it's 5 times, if it's 100 points, it's 10 times. Ding! With the current state of the host, it is impossible to get 100 points. Soebei wanted to give the system a supercilious look, but the system had a black heart and a poisonous mouth. If the system were human, Soebei would not know if he could control his emotions now. The system was a little too weak. Ding! The host scored a winning goal in this game and rewarded him with 100 points. Ding! Because it's the game-winning goal, and there's a big gift bag to be drawn immediately. Soebei looked at his points again, more than 100 points. A big gift bag. Extract. Soebei read aloud silently, wondering what the drawn gift package was. Ding! It's being drawn. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a special skill, the shooting percentage skill. If the players on the opposite side defend the host more and defend harder, then the host's shooting rate will be more stable. I rely on it. Soebei looked surprised. The harder the defense, the more stable the shot. This skill is really amazing. If 5 people really guard him alone, maybe the shooting percentage will be over 80%. This skill is simply against the sky. It's great. It's exciting to think about it. If this is the case, Soebei will do it to death. The more people guard him, the more stable Soebei's shooting rate will be. Do it, kill them all. I don't know if the Lone Ranger players are ready to accept my attack. In reality, in the living room I rented, there are no electronic products. The walls in the living room are all simple and white. There is a black 2-meter wide sofa on the side, which looks out of place here. The whole room is black and white. It looks simple and dignified. The rest are fitness equipment, which are placed in an unusually neat manner, looking like a person who loves cleanliness. Soebei learned from memory that the person he rented together was a girl. All he knew was that the girl's name was Lin Shuet, but Soebei didn't know what she looked like. When they come back, they will know everything. There is still time now, so I have to train hard. Soebei took off his clothes. His well-proportioned figure, coupled with his handsome face, was simply perfect. Looking through the mirror, Soebei stroked his face lightly, and smiled slightly. I never thought I'd be quite handsome. I, Soebei, will conquer the entire NBA and let them know that Longwo people can also stand in the pyramid of basketball. Saying this, Soebei's eyes showed a firm look. He believes he can. Soebei knew that his greatest strength was self-confidence, and he had absolute confidence in himself. Especially in the last section, Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. James told him that when he was asked to handle the last ball, Soebei was not nervous. It was because he believed in himself, which was also part of the factor. Then Soebei brought a yoga mat and started doing push-ups. Soebei should use the time to train continuously to enhance his strength. After all, playing a game with Donsik, that guy has a very comprehensive style of play, even has a super long three-pointer, and his vision is also broad. Donsik has played in the European League and won the most valuable and best rookie awards. The more Soebei thought about that guy, the more fighting spirit he had. He was looking forward to a fight with this guy, and also wanted to make a friend with Donsik. In basketball circles, there is a saying. Sometimes, playing basketball, the two became friends. That's the beauty of basketball. As everyone knows, Donsik, who became Soebei's friend in the future, was misunderstood by Soebei. Soebei kept doing push-ups, and he could do all kinds of advanced push-ups. This was also thanks to McGrady's template. After Soebei used it, he realized what talent is. That is the fragrance. It smells so good. McGrady's talent is also at the top, but he borrowed 35 seconds from God, but paid it back with his entire career. What a pity in life. Since McGrady did not win the championship, Soebei will make up for his regret. Not only him, but also Yao Ming, Kobe. There was even the World Cup and Olympic Games held in Longwo that year. Sobe wanted to make up for the regrets of the previous life one by one. Creak. Ah! As soon as the door was pushed open, a shout resounded through the room. Sobe looked down at himself, and suddenly his face turned red. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. A glamorous girl stood at the door, a blush appeared on her face. Looks like he's in his 20s. This. Bang bang. Before he finished speaking, Sobe hurried into his room, breathing heavily, and found a training suit to put on. So embarrassing. Sobe didn't talk to someone in his last life. It wasn't because he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't think about anything else because of basketball. Suddenly a girl came, making Sobe a little bit at a loss. Squeak. Sobe slowly opened the door and looked into the living room. Sunlight poured down on the woman's face through the window, with long eyelashes and a straight nose, showing an impeccable profile. The girl was wearing blue jeans and a white shirt on her upper body. She was facing him sideways. The curves of her figure were completely displayed in front of Sobe's eyes. Sobe was dumbfounded by those shocking long legs. This is too beautiful, right? Could it be that she is Lin Shui? Just from the back, Sobe felt like a peerless fairy. That. I'm really sorry just now. Sobe coughed lightly, and said embarrassedly, the redness on his face hadn't faded, and his heart was beating so fast. You are Sobe. The voice was as pleasant as an aureole, and there was a hint of coldness in his tone. Obviously, in the scene just now, Sobe was not very good in the girl's heart. The girl turned her body slightly, her beautiful face and those clear peach blossom eyes attracted Sobe in front of her, unable to extricate herself. Tisk, this is a man's instinct. I can't walk when I meet a beautiful woman. Ah. Yes, I'm Sobe. I was really embarrassed just now. I forgot to put on my clothes for a while. I'm sorry. Sobe was a little shy, but organized his words and said it in one breath. Don't let me see you next time. The girl stared at Sobe with her peach eyes, and continued in a calm voice, let me introduce myself, I am Lin Shui, here is the contract between the two of us, take a good look at it one time. With that said, Lin Shui took out a contract from her bag, walked up to Sobe with graceful steps, and handed the contract to Sobe. In an instant, Sobe smelled a fresh fragrance. Is it the scent of a girl? Smell good. After Sobe received the contract, he kept flipping through it. Still couldn't help but look at Lin Shui a few more times. No problem. Okay, then I'll tell you in advance that if you are in the public area, I hope you don't come out after wearing it like this time, otherwise I will immediately revoke the contract and you will leave here. Lin Shui's eyes kept staring at him, thinking in her heart, seeing him like this should be impossible. Well, there is no future, I will definitely not be like this time. Sobe nodded quickly and assured Lin Shui. But suddenly I thought, is this just for me? Could it be that she couldn't get dressed well and could still come out? Sobe shook his head, how could such a thing happen? After Lin Shui took back the contract, she went back to her room. She is a teacher here, and she has only been here for a few months, and she is not very familiar with it. If it weren't for the fact that she didn't have a roommate, she would never have shared a room with a man. However, that Sobe was quite tall. Sobe started training in his own room, and he must not let women affect him. But Sobe's heart was still beating. The Lone Ranger is actually not a very strong team, but Sobe feels that he still needs to be cautious, and he must go all out on the court, otherwise how can he be worthy of his love? In his last life, Sobe knew that the Lakers in the 1819 season would miss the playoffs. If they want to make it to the playoffs, they must win the next games. Although James came to the Lakers this year, the entire team has undergone a major change. The whole team needs to adjust, and the current sub-A is just a non-guaranteed player. If sub-A did not perform well in these 10 days, he could pack up and leave. After turning around the Clippers, sub-A felt in his heart that head coach Walton might make him a part of the rotation. If he played better, he would hopefully become a main player. The key factor depends on sub-A's performance in the Tenda competition. Lakers, after Kobe left, no one will inherit the legacy of the Lakers. Then I shall inherit it all. Sub-A murmured to himself, that man was Kobe, and Sub-A also fell in love with basketball under the influence of Kobe. Kobe was his hero, and the legend will never fade. The next day, Lone Ranger head coach Rick Carlisle is also studying the video of the Lakers turning the game around, with a trace of dignity on his face. The Lakers' turnaround of the game is not all due to luck, and one of them is also influenced by a player. Carlisle used to be the Pistons and the Pacers, the founders of the two Eastern Conference teams. Especially in the early 21st century, the Jagged Pistons was created by Carlisle himself. He moved a lot in basketball. He looked at the Longwo player and shook his head slightly. "Coach, what's wrong?" The assistant next to him saw that the head coach Carlisle looked a little bad, and asked with concern. "This Dragon Country player is a little unbelievable." The Lakers were blown away by the Clippers in the first 3 quarters. At that time, the atmosphere of the entire Lakers team was depressed. Everything has changed. At that time, the momentum of the Lakers was brought up by this Dragon Country player, and the momentum of the whole team was raised. "It's incredible." Carlisle and his assistant looked at the Dragon Country player on the screen at the same time. In this game, both three-pointers and breakthroughs surprised Carlisle's assistant. "His attack is very good. It seems that he was very hot at the time." His assistant analyzed the Longwo player, and also found the information of Sub-A, while watching it seriously. "The Clippers didn't lose unjustly. In this match against us, maybe we will also be negligent about this Dragon Country player." Carlisle said, his heart was also full of shock, never thought that this player would come from the mysterious the Eastern country of China Dragon Kingdom. "Coach, here's his profile, take a look." The assistant handed over the profile to Coach Carlisle. After the Lakers turned around, he also noticed this kid, and sorted out the player's profile overnight. Number 31, Sub-A. Carlisle looked at the information in his hand, and the Sub-A in the photo was a bit handsome. After reading some of Sub-A's experiences, from playing basketball at the age of 11 to now at the age of 21, it has been a full 10 years. In the past 10 years, apart from studying, Sub-A spent the rest of his time practicing, so that it took him 10 years to reach the current NBA. It can be accurately said that basketball is half of his life. After reading it, Carlisle let out a deep breath. This is also a very hard-working player, and the information says that his talent is average. But is the current Northern Jiangsu really average in talent? No, in Carlisle's eyes, Sub-A's talent is hard work. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. Keep trying, keep trying. Carlisle also watched the video of the Lakers, and he could win them in the next game. In the Lone Ranger training hall, many players sat on the ground and looked at Carlisle. This meeting is mainly to play against the Lakers. You have also seen this Longwo player. If he plays with James, then we will be a little bit defensive. These two scoring points are really scary. Carlisle let them watch the last game of the Lakers, especially in the last quarter. Sub-A connected the whole game together, and even James and his combination were a bit. If the Lakers let that player Sub-A play in the next game, then we should look at his performance. If Sub-A feels good, then find a player to guard him. You can't give him a chance to shoot, and Doncic, you have to open up the situation and let them follow our rhythm when they come up, so that we will not be passive. Tell me, can you do it? Carlisle looked around and asked. Yes, don't worry coach, we will definitely win. Doncic looked at Carlisle, his face was full of confidence, and after the recent three-point training, Doncic felt that his three-point shooting percentage had increased. After that, look at the effect of the training. There was firmness in the eyes of the players, and everyone was full of fighting spirit. In the second game, the Lakers played against the Lone Ranger away. The Lone Ranger's most important scorer now is Doncic. Suabey calls Doncic the title of Fat Dun Dun. He is white and fat. Lone Ranger lineup: Luka Doncic G, Dennis Smith G, Wesley Matthews G, Harrison Barnes small forward, DeAndre Jordan center 3 guards. Now the definition of shooting guard and point guard is not very accurate. Lakers lineup: Josh Hart guard, Lonzo Ball guard, JaVale McGee center, Kyle Kuzma power forward, James small forward. The Lakers in the away game do not have a big advantage. Sub-A is not the starter, and the head coach cannot directly make Sub-A the starter because of his performance in a game. In the first quarter, Doncic attacked with the ball and shot at the top of the three-point arc. Swish! Hit! Starting with a three-pointer from Doncic, the audience cheered. Lakers coach Walton frowned a little. This is not a good start. The recent Lakers players don't know what the reason is, except for a reversal of a game with the Clippers. Almost the first 2 games ended in failure. The atmosphere of the Lakers is not particularly good. The Lakers attack. Ball advanced the field, passed the ball to Hart after halftime, and Doncic defended Hart tightly. Hart changed direction and rushed in with the ball. But Mavericks center DeAndre Jordan took a step forward and blocked Hart, and Doncic followed closely. DeAndre Jordan and Doncic looked at each other, and they both knew what they wanted to do in their hearts, which was to pinch Hart in order to make Hart make mistakes. Hart also understood the other party's intentions and kept his eyes on the front, but the basketball was passed. At this time, Kuzma ran to the right to catch the ball. No defense, a big open. The opportunity has come. Kuzma made a mid-range shot. With a bang, the basketball hit the front edge of the basket and missed. Damn it! Kuzma cursed softly, originally wanting to fight back. No one in the game is sure they're sure enough to hit the rim. DeAndre Jordan grabbed the rebound, and Barnes on the other side ran to the opposite side. After DeAndre saw it, he passed a big long pass. Ball ran over desperately, trying to stop Barnes from laying up, but Barnes was so fast that he didn't stop him and scored another 2 points. In less than 2 minutes, the score between the Lakers and the Mavericks was 0:5. Seeing everything on the field, the head coach Wharton showed a trace of worry in his eyes. It was a bad start. The audience on the field was also bursting with excitement. In the Tencent live broadcast room, the commentator Yang Yi analyzed, the Lone Ranger showed a strong desire to attack from the beginning, but the players on the Lakers side were a little sluggish. This is not a good start. The Lone Ranger players showed a smile one by one. Doncic looked at James and reminded, "Don't be too complacent, the game is not over yet. This guy hasn't exerted his strength yet, and the final outcome is full of uncertainty. Once James is on the court, he will attract a lot of attention. This is the treatment of the first player in the league. Except for Kobe back then, who would have this kind of treatment? Everyone was saying at the time that Kobe was the Iron King, but after Kobe got the ball, at least 2 or 3 people would guard him, and they were also afraid of his shooting." Off the field, Suabey clenched his fists tightly, reminding himself to maintain his state. He will play, and he must believe in himself. On the field, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com Shua. A clear and pleasant voice sounded. James made a two-pointer, and at the 3rd minute and 5 seconds, the Lakers finally scored. This does not affect the Lone Rangers' offense. They feel that the Lakers are not in a good state. To the last 2 minutes of the first quarter, the Lone Rangers scored 21 points in a row, while the Lakers only had 10 points. The point difference was directly open to 11 points. The head coach Walton next to him was pale. Kuzma missed 3 mid-range shots and made a mistake once. This state is too sluggish. Even the Lakers fans in the auditorium think that Kuzma is playing match fixing. What the happened to Kuzma? Another turnover, another steal by Doncic, another 2 points. In the Tencent anchor room, the commentator Yang Yi shook his head. Kuzma didn't play at his level. The Lakers are just like the previous games. They fell behind by double digits in the first quarter. The point difference is actually 13 points. The last game was simply a miracle. Can there be a miracle this time? After the end of the first quarter, the players on both sides returned to the field. Warden stared at Kuzma, with a trace of anger, wishing to punch Kuzma. Does this kid not use his brain when playing? You are at the free throw line. When you make a mid-range shot, you don't see two people guarding you tightly. You still have to force the shot. Kuzma didn't handle the few just now very well. Coupled with the overall sluggish state, the Lakers' efficiency is not very high. Kuzma, you replace Sobe. Warden glanced at Sobe, praying in his heart as long as the gap would not widen again. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time. Kuzma made a lot of mistakes. Warden saw Kuzma's mood a little depressed. Although he also wanted to score for the team, he was not in a good state. Kuzma lowered his head, glanced at Sobe, and thought, is this guy really better than me? I am the main player, and I am still a little unconvinced that I replaced myself at the end of the first quarter, but Kuzma had to implement the coach's arrangement. Here's your chance. Sobe nodded his head lightly, a look of joy appeared on his face, and his heart became excited, and his whole body was filled with fighting spirit. Coach Warden arranged tactics. James, you have to attack, give me all your firepower, and give me Ball your three-pointers. Among the Lakers, Ball's three-pointers can be seen. James put his hands on his hips and nodded. Then Warden looked at Sobe. Sobe, I remember that your CIC is very stable. I hope you can play your advantage and don't let me down. Don't worry, coach, I will definitely go all out. Sobe said in a deep voice. Mid-range shots and breakthroughs have always been his best offensive methods. The three-pointer in the last game was only due to the influence of McGrady's template, and he felt hot. This time, Sobe will use his own offensive method to fight, and he learned his first breakthrough from McGrady, so Sobe is eager to try. Kuzma and Sobe clapped their hands. No matter what, they are both Lakers players, and their goals are for the team to win. Lone Ranger over there. I played very well in the first quarter. The Lakers are already in a passive state. Doncic, your three-pointer is very good. After playing for a while, make a few more shots, so that the point difference will be widened. Carlisle turned around, looked at the chubby Doncic, encouraged him, and seemed to see hope from him. The Lone Ranger had lost the last game, and Carlisle didn't want to lose to the Lakers this time. Doncic glanced at the Lakers, looked back, looked at Carlisle, and assured, Coach, don't worry, I will definitely blow them up. Even with James around, I'm not afraid. An endless fighting spirit grew in Doncic's heart, burning like a flames. Also, you have to pay attention to the number 30 player. If he plays, Dennis Smith, you go to defend him for me and keep an eye on him. Dennis Smith curled his lips, a look of disdain flashed in his eyes. He also saw Sobe's last game, and part of it was due to luck. He felt that the guy just had a good hand at that time. Players who play basketball know that if a player's touch is coming, it is almost difficult to resist his offense, but in the eyes of Dennis Smith, how could that Sobe always maintain a hot touch? In my heart, I still feel that Sobe, a Dragon Country player, is not good enough. If Sobe plays, he has to fight against him at that time. The score between the Lakers and the Lone Ranger is 23-10. The second quarter begins. 31 player Sobe played, number 31, which has a special meaning. After Sobe entered the field, he jumped twice on the spot in order to better enter the state. At this time, the lineup on both sides is a three-back lineup. Walton looked at the players on the field, hoping that they could catch up with the score. Being behind by 13 points in the first quarter really made Walton a little worried. And at this moment, a mechanical voice sounded again in Suabei's mind. Ding! Task! In the game against the Lone Ranger, the host must score more than 25 points and assist more than 10 times. Take the task. Suabei thought to himself, 25 points is not difficult, what is difficult is 10 assists. Doncic! Doncic! The fans in the arena kept shouting crazily, and the Lone Ranger's momentum continued to rise. The Lone Ranger players all looked determined and vowed to win the game. The Lakers attack. Ball advanced the ball with the ball and then passed it to Suabei. As a point guard, Ball is very good, has excellent audience awareness, and is also very good at handling the ball. The most important thing is that Ball's style of play is stable, selfless, and he has a strong willingness to pass the ball. After Suabei received the ball, he took a look at everyone's position. James and the others are all on the right, and Suabei is left on the left. Dennis Smith is defending Suabei. His height is only 1.88 meters, which is a little lower than Suabei, but his low center of gravity can well defend Suabei's breakthrough. Suabei smiled slightly and defended Oneo none. Compared with Kobe, Jordan, and those super giants, this should be the easiest defense in the NBA. Have you figured out how to block my attack? Suabei said to Dennis Smith in front of him. Sometimes appropriate trash talk can also cause a certain amount of pressure on the opponent. When Dennis Smith heard it, his eyes seemed to be on fire, and he took a step forward. Come on, I want to see how you beat me. As soon as the words fell, Suabei made a three threat, and stepped on the ground. The speed exploded to the extreme, breaking through to the right. Dennis Smith was shaken for a moment, as if he saw an afterimage of Suabei. When he came back to his senses, Suabei went straight to the inside. No, this guy wants to dunk DeAndre Jordan. Suabei jumped up, grabbed the ball with one hand, and wanted to put his hand into the basket. On the other side, the Lone Ranger center DeAndre Jordan in front of him stared at Suabei, his heart extremely angry. This kid wants to score from the inside? Still want to eat me alone? I want to fart. This kid thinks too highly of himself. You reading www.yuyugonshu.com. I'll let you eat a big hot pot. After the jump, DeAndre Jordan's big hand slapped Suabei's ball hard in the air. Off the court, Warden's heart was in suspense. Suabei must be hated. Once capped, the aura of the Lone Ranger will completely rise. This will be very detrimental to the Lakers. However, the next second, Suabei, who was in the air, shrank, and the ball was transferred to his right hand, avoiding DeAndre Jordan's block. There was a snap. Suabei was still hit on the left arm by DeAndre Jordan. Just as he was about to hit the ground, Suabei passed the railing with his own waist and abdomen strength. The ball fell firmly into the basket. The action is silky smooth and smooth. Warden's face changed drastically, and he was dumbfounded. And the other Lakers substitute players stood up in an instant, looking at Suabei in disbelief. This Nima lever is too silky. Fuck. This ball is beautiful. It's really awesome. After landing, Suabei was pulled up by James and Ball, and the three smiled slightly. Beep. The whistle sounded. 2+1, Suabei made a free throw. Not only did Suabei score a three-pointer, but he also drew a DeAndre Jordan foul. Doncic walked to DeAndre Jordan, patted him on the shoulder, and comforted him, "It's okay, we'll call back." DeAndre Jordan didn't doubt himself because of a defense. As Doncic said, the call came back. However, when they met Suabei, would they really call back? What Doncic didn't know was that what followed was their Lone Ranger's nightmare. The first release of this book comes from 17K Novel Network, so you can read the genuine content for the first time.